fit in with our idea of history being written by humans. Sometimes bacteria or viruses do, in fact, do the writing. A 14th century person's lack of understanding about medicine also meant that they didn't record in detail what happened, and when they did, it wasn't reported particularly well. Frequently, diseases were seen as the result of God's wrath over something. Lack of prayer, overall heresy. Even Jews were named as potential causes. Widespread death was also blamed on miasma, which we know today as an oppressive feeling, but back then it was a synonym for bad air. Therefore, a lot of speculating as to just what went on had to be done centuries later. Despite these roadblocks, the medical community was able to piece together several clues. Today, we largely believe that plague was caused by bacteria and turned into a pandemic through international trade. Nothing spreads disease like trade. Trade is great for the economy and terrible at keeping people alive. In this case, the bacterium Yersinia pestis, also known as Y. pestis, hitched a ride on fleas, which hitched a ride on rats, which hitched a ride on ships that started in the Far East and made their way to the Mediterranean, bearing cloth, spices, and plague. Death was coming, and people could not do anything to stop it. The rest is history. Bacteria and viruses. Let's take a minute and look into what Y. pestis is about. Y. pestis is a bacterium. The flu is a virus. Are bacteria and viruses the same thing? No. Bacteria are to viruses what you are to a potato. Both bacteria and viruses can ruin your day by giving you a cold or explosive diarrhea. But that's where the comparison ends. You and a potato actually have more in common because you're both living organisms with complex cells and are capable of reproduction and metabolism. You even both have eyes, so to speak. A virus is not capable of reproduction and metabolism. In some circles, a virus isn't even considered alive, nor is it dead. It exists, so to speak, in a gray area. Bacteria are cellular creatures that you can easily see under a microscope. They were among the first life forms to appear on Earth. They're mostly made of cytoplasm, that is a clear jelly-like fluid that houses all the biochemical reactions that keep bacteria alive. To prevent the cytoplasm from floating away, bacteria are surrounded by cell membranes, also known as cell walls. Though a bacterium is just a tiny single cell, the weight of all the bacteria in the world is more than that of every living plant and animal. Bacteria live everywhere. In the water, on you. Trillions are around you right now. On your furniture, in your bed, on your skin, and even inside you. You have 10 times more bacterial cells inside you than your own cells. Bacteria have a bad reputation, but most are actually good. Roughly 80%, as a matter of fact. For example, the bacteria that live in your gut create conditions that keep bad bacteria away and aid in digestion. When bacteria grow big enough, they reproduce asexually through a process called binary fission. This means that bacteria copy their DNA and then split into daughter cells, which are exact duplicates of their parent. Note that it's parent, not parents, as only one parent cell is involved. Hence the word asexual, a being the Greek prefix for non. Viruses are even simpler. They have the dubious distinction of being the simplest life form on Earth. Scientists don't even know where they came from. For starters, they're smaller than bacteria, much smaller, like you next to the Statue of Liberty. Their average size is 100 nanometers. To put that into context, an inch is 254,000 nanometers, meaning 250 million viruses can fit into 1 inch. Louis Pasteur called the virus a microbe of infinite smallness. This is why millions of types of viruses exist, but we only know of a few thousand. Bacteria may reproduce on their own, but viruses cannot. They need you, the host. Viruses have no cytoplasm and no chemical processes. A virus is just genetic code, either DNA or RNA, and